Everything man-engineered has a toxic impact. The electronics, chemicals, and synthetics that we use and are exposed to place a burden on the human body. GMOs compound the pressure on our living organism to exist. Increasingly, they have been linked with termination of life. The GMOs aren't the only damaging agents, but they're an unnecessary danger to health, whether it be plant, animal, or human. I would like to share information about a documentary that I've recently watched on YouTube called GMO's Ticking Time Bomb. It's a multi-part series, and this part 3 and 4 was very profound, and it moved me more than What the Health because it doesn't try to demonize one particular part of the food industry. It talks about the harm of genetically modified foods in both our produce and in our meats. I have a lot to say. This documentary really hit home to me because it's a part of my story, and I believe that the effects of genetically modified foods has dramatically affected my health. Back in 2012, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. This was peculiar because I do not have a medical history. I do not have a history of using pharmaceutical drugs. I've never used drugs. I've never had a regimen of using pharmaceuticals. I do not casually or socially drink alcohol, and I do not smoke cigarettes. So it didn't take long. Per the documentary, genetically modified foods entered our market in 1996, and by 2003, I had my first tumor. And the only thing that I've done consistently is randomly eat genetically modified foods. After my diagnosis of lung cancer, I changed my lifestyle. I removed genetically modified foods from my diet, and I have begun to heal. Prior to 2012, I did not understand the impact of the food that I ate. So I ate casually, I ate randomly, I ate according to what I desired and what I felt like eating, and that did not consist of fruits and vegetables. But per this documentary, it doesn't matter what type of food you're eating. If you're eating genetically modified food, it's going to have a detrimental effect on your health and on your life. When I think about the rise in infertility, when I think about the rise in autism, when I think about the rise in depression and Crohn's disease and all these things that were not around when I was a little girl, it is more than just random. It is the evils that have been allowed to happen with our foods, and it's affecting our lives. So before we get started, I would just like to say that I'm just a regular, everyday person trying to find solutions and remedies to the problems that I'm facing. I'm not medically trained. However, in this documentary, there are certified doctors and researchers that have provided information that is profound, that is affecting everyone's life and affecting the lives of our children. Please check out the documentary. I'm going to link both of them in the description box below. With that being said, per the information that I'm seeing, the way that genetically modified foods entered into our food market is so crazy, it just seems fake. It seems like a conspiracy. I'll save that information for my next video, but the long of the short, genetically modified foods entered into our food market because the companies that use harsh herbicides and pesticides, Roundup, needed to find or create plant life that could withstand those toxins because of the way that they're created to destroy all plant life. And so genetically modified foods were born, and with these coming into our food market is when sickness and breakdown began to occur. And the more that we consume it and the more companies that do it is the more toxic and the more effects that we have been seeing in recent times. When I was a little girl, the things that are going on now with infertility, with autism, with birth defects was not so widespread as it is in today's time. And it's not by chance, it is for a reason, and it has to do with the food that we are consuming. The way that plants are forcefully grown in the United States due to the herbicides, pesticides, and the genetic modifications causes an unnatural imbalance. Technically, plants are not supposed to grow in our depleted soils, but due to man's tampering, the plants that we consume, the food and the meat that we consume, is high in carcinogenics and toxins, low in nutrients, and it tampers with and decreases the health and the stability of that plant and spreads disease. All outlined in the documentary. When our food is being genetically modified, the companies that do this have no control over where that tampered with DNA will wind up, and they have no control over the mutations that develop, and they're not required to research or find out long-term the effects that it's going to have on human life. But per the information in the documentary, there are things that are known and have been discovered about genetically modified food. There is concrete evidence that genetically modified food is damaged. It damages the host that consumes it and their offspring. They're damaged from the start. They damage the animals that consume them. They damage the people that consume them. They damage the people that consume the animals that consume genetically modified foods and that are genetically modified. There is something called RNA, and per the documentary, during digestion, this is not broken down. Instead, this RNA, which is a mutated gene, is transported into the cells of the host, whether it be an animal or a human being. And it causes genetic mutations within the host DNA, within the host cells. Furthermore, that genetically modified, harmful or mutated RNA is digested by the microbes in our stomach, and it genetically modifies the microbes in our stomach, causing further breakdown and mutations and damage to our body, our organs, and our DNA. As if that wasn't enough damning information, once something is genetically modified, it perpetuates infinitely, and research has no way of determining what the fallouts would be. But what is known per the documentary is that those mutated DNAs, those mutated cells, are transferred to offspring. This is the offspring of the animals that consume it, the animals that are genetically modified, to the offspring of the humans that consume the genetically modified plants or animals, and to the offspring of that human. So it's affecting babies before they're born. Per the documentary, 90% of the toxic fallout from genetically modified foods are found in the blood of a mother, and 80% are found in the blood of a fetus. We must be smart to do the math. We take in more toxins than ever before. Consider this. Most of the commercial food industry uses multiple GMOs and polluted ingredients in their food production that we eat. What do you think will happen? What do you think is happening? The documentary highlights two ways GMOs are used in our meat products. One is the genetically modified insulin. It's a growth hormone that causes imbalances and damages to children, adults, and fetuses. Per my research, this hormone has been linked to tumors, premature development, enlarged organs, edema, and insulin resistance, which is diabetes. Another way GMOs are used is to increase milk production. You'll have to get the particulars from the documentary, but there's a process of extracting an enzyme or hormone, genetically modifying it, re-injecting it into the cows to increase milk production. This causes cows to be sick and die. Per the scientists and doctors in this documentary, the consumption of genetically modified foods have been linked to the increase of allergens or allergic reactions, for example, gluten sensitivity. It's also been linked to damage of the pancreas and the liver and increased the time required for digestion. I'm casually listing these things, but they are substantial, especially when you consider the damage to the pancreas and the liver, which are the way that we digest and process the food in our body, and which detoxes and keeps us alive, as well as the digestion. So this is something that I've been hearing about across every holistic protocol, the importance of eliminating waste. And when waste is stagnated in our body, it leads to disease. Every type of breakdown known to men, from depression to cancer to Parkinson's disease. It's important that we are consistently able to timely break down and eliminate the waste in our bodies. So consuming genetically modified foods tampers and hinders with this process. Are you as shocked as I am? Just check out the documentary linked in the description box below. But I haven't given the kicker yet. So per the documentary, the companies that deal in these GMOs, these herbicides and pesticides, are able to do their own research. They're able to do their own studies to show that these products are not harmful to society. They're able to do this research for minimal amount of time, not even a year, and present this information to the government without third-party review, without questions by our federal government, the entity that's supposed to monitor and protect us. The government approves these harmful foods, and then they're put on the shelves for us to consume and give to our children. It is unbelievable what is happening, but there is no excuse. Per the documentary, there has been third-party independent research that proves that genetically modified foods are harmful to plant life, animals, humans, and our offspring. The government that's supposed to protect us continues to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. But I guarantee you, they're not consuming these foods, and they are certainly not giving them to their children. I've only mentioned some of the information in this profound and insightful documentary, which I have linked in the description box below. Get your knowledge, please watch it and share it, and get the accounts from professionals, doctors, and researchers. Until next time, thanks for watching.